The following is a show we're calling On the Horizon. It's a current events-based opinionated show punctuated by chill music. So what does that mean, current events-based opinionated show? Simply put, we start with the news and go from there. We talk about the impact current events have on us and further what that impact means to the progress of our country and our world. We don't pretend to be professional economists or political pundits or anything more than a few college students just trying to work out the problems in the world. It's all in the name of progress. The opinions are our own, not our station's, and it's all live. So, without further ado, this is On the Horizon. What does it mean to have privacy in an online culture? Yes, I realize this sounds like cereal. My name is Alex Popichak, and I'm joined in the studio by Kris Chandler and Sam Morrison. In the next 2 hours, we'll talk about life, news, and what impacts us. This is On the Horizon.
This is a small little segment we like to call The Week That Was. Super Bowl 50 is tomorrow in San Francisco. The California Panthers and Denver Broncos will face off against one another. Some speculate that tomorrow's game could be the end of Broncos quarterback Peyton Manning's career. Coldplay is performing in the halftime show, and Beyoncé also performs.
A passenger was sucked out of a gaping hole in an airliner after an explosion from a possible bomb rocked the jet over Somalia Thursday. According to CNN, the bomber blew a hole in the airliner, injuring 2. He was then sucked out of the hole he had created and fell to his death.
The so-called affluenza teen who was moved to an adult prison this week after being extradited to the U.S. from Mexico. He's facing charges after violating his probation and fleeing the country.
Twitter announced this week that it is introducing an algorithm to its dashboard. When implemented, tweets will no longer be displayed in reverse chronological order and will instead be prioritized like Facebook's newsfeed feature.
And the Iowa caucuses officially kicked off the presidential primary season. Ted Cruz won for the Republicans with Donald Trump and Marco Rubio trailing. Presidential hopeful Bernie Sanders declared the Democratic race a, quote, virtual tie. Hillary Clinton won by a razor-thin margin, 49.8% to Sanders' 49.6%. Meanwhile, Martin O'Malley, Rick Santorum, and Mike Huckabee suspended their campaigns. I'm not entirely sure if that is all of them who suspended their campaigns. And that was the week that was. Again, I'm Alex, and I'm joined by Sam and Kris. How are you guys?
Doing good so far.
I'm doing great.
I love to hear it. All right, so Iowa was Monday. Let's jump right into it. What do you guys think? It was certainly interesting.
The Iowa thing, well, first off, what surprised me the most was Rick Santorum dropping out because I wasn't aware he was running at all.
Really?
Really. I had no idea he was in the race.
I know the Post-Gazette had done, on their page 2, they always have some sort of diary or some sort of, like, opinion piece. And I remember a couple of weeks ago, they were talking about one of the reporters had gone to a Rick Santorum rally in some diner in the middle of Iowa.
That's about right.
They were talking about how strong he was worded and how strong everything was, except for the turnout. I think there were, like, 7 or 8 people. Oh yeah. It was not pleasant. But I mean, I don't understand. I mean, I guess he's a career politician, and in a career such as that, you do 2 things: you run for office, and then you serve in those offices. And so, what you run into is whenever you're not picked for an office, you turn around and try and run again and run again. So this is like the 3rd or 4th time he's run for president. I don't know.
Well, that reminds me of your favorite headline ever, which was the one voter turns up to Martin O'Malley.
Yeah, Martin O'Malley
remains unconvinced.
Now, to be fair, there was a blizzard, but nonetheless, I mean, one person that was an undecided voter went to a Martin O'Malley rally.
I mean, if you think about it, it's kind of upsetting, though, because O'Malley, he's kind of... He has some good ideas, and he's kind of a middle-of-the-ground candidate.
He's the middle ground of the Democratic Party, probably.
And I just feel bad for the guy. Yet at the same time, I mean, if you look at Clinton, you look at Sanders, they have the majority, they have the people behind them, and, like, when you have 2 powerhouse candidates like that, it's kind of expected, like, a third person like O'Malley would kind of be out of the game.
What's interesting, too, what happens with stuff like that is with the Republican primary, at least last election season, we had these guys doing huge numbers and Mitt Romney sort of sitting in the back like, I'm running too, guys. And then he wound up getting the nomination. So that's...
Same with Obama, technically.
I mean, that's what happened again.
At this point, in the 2008 election, Clinton was in the lead, actually.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, it's kind of the same, trends that happen.
And yeah.
We talked a bit about this last week. Iowa is definitely not a microcosm for the rest of the nation. I did a brief calculation, and I think it's close to 400-something bushels of corn per every one person in Iowa.
You said 750, didn't you?
Oh,
bigger.
I don't remember.
It was like 700-something.
But what I mean by that is there aren't a lot of people, and it's not necessarily representative of the whole nation.
Mm-hmm.
So, yes, it's first, and yes, it's important that it's first, but at the end of the day, it's not necessarily indicative of what's going to move on, except, I guess... at the point of Martin O'Malley, some people have said he might be successful at one point, but as of right now, this just isn't his time.
No.
You have Bernie, which has surged from out of nowhere, and then Clinton, who has been basically anointed the nomination since she announced her candidacy, which we all knew was going to happen to start with. So it's interesting to think about, and I guess... in a way, some of the people have been more or less, I guess, weeded out.
I would say so, yeah.
But you still have, like, a lot of people on the Republican side. I don't know how many are left. I think it's down to 10 now.
Maybe 10. Yeah, it's about 10.
I think 10, yeah.
Yeah.
It's a solid number.
What was the peak? It was 16?
16 at one point,
Yeah.
and then before Iowa caucus, it was 14.
Jeez.
And now it's about down to 10.
And I remember someone had made local news for announcing their run as Republican presidential candidate about halfway through it was right in the middle of the peak after a lot of the people that had surged to the front had announced and been announced for a while. And they're like, I'm going to run for president. You hear nothing about this guy. And I think he's kind of faded into oblivion. But yeah.
The other classic there is Bobby Jindal when he announced his candidacy.
Oh, yeah.
You get his kids going like, okay, cool, go dad,
Go.
and like it was really painfully awkward. Like,
But, at the same time, though, I give people props for at least stepping out there, wanting to kind of talk about the issues and
definitely,
lead for their party. Yet at the same time, like when you have powerhouse politicians in there, like Jeb Bush and I guess Trump, if you wanted.
well, interesting.
he's
you say
not a powerhouse politician.
He's not a politician,
he's a
but he's a
powerhouse
powerhouse.
of
He's a
some
powerhouse.
sort. But
American
not,
rage. I mean,
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's interesting though you say Jeb Bush because Jeb Bush started out as like, oh, it's him.
Jeb Bush.
It's gonna be him.
Definitely.
It's gonna be Bush v. Clinton again. And then Donald Trump said something along the lines of he's low energy, no one likes him. And now he's low energy and no one likes him.
Yep.
Donald Trump can tell the future. I mean, the fascinating thing there too is I saw a tweet from Jeb Bush's Twitter account, which was working the line at Dunkin' Donuts, every vote counts. And it was Jeb Bush himself handing people their donuts and shaking hands.
The guy's desperate.
That's just sad, honestly.
It is sad.
Like,
and
Which one of you guys were talking about earlier today how he had asked in the middle of his speech, please
That was
clap?
sad.
yes.
Yeah.
He gave a speech. I can't remember where it was. My phone's out of commission, so I can't look it up. But he gave the speech. And at the end, it's just 10 seconds of painful silence. And then he just goes, please clap.
that's just
Did people listen?
Yeah, they laugh and then they clap. So
Okay.
it was just so like, oh, you poor man.
And for the longest time, he was considered, like, as you said, the nominee, but also, like, the legitimate quote-unquote politician in the Republican
Yeah,
race.
it would be him. Yeah.
And he's just kind of fizzled out.
At this point, I think they all kind of need to just give it up. I mean, it hurts for me to say that. And again, I give them props for trying. But at this point,
You're
it's the top
fragmenting
three.
the party, honestly.
Yeah,
at this
personally.
point.
Well, that's interesting too. You got to deal with party fragmentation that's happening on the Democratic side as well. You've got, Bernie, who's crazy far left, Clinton, who's functionally a Republican, and the Democratic voter base is being forced to pick, basically.
Yeah.
And it's going almost 50-50.
Yeah.
Or at least if Iowa's representative.
Here's the thing. I don't think it's as bad as the Republican Party. Though.
Oh, no.
And I don't think it would, because I've heard people say people are like supporters for Sanders, and I myself am a supporter for Clinton. Yet at the same time, I would be okay with either one getting, being the nominee. And I think most people feel that way in the Democratic Party. Yet when it comes to Republicans, they're still fragmented no matter who's going to get the nomination.
My roommate belongs to a group of people who I call Republican refugees. They vote Republican, they don't agree with Democratic principles at all, but they don't have a candidate who they can vote for because you've got theocrats like Cruz and lunatics like Trump just out there, saying absurd things. And they're sitting there forced to just go, who do I vote for? Can I vote? Because there's no
And another problem with that, it discourages people to vote. And voter turnout is already super low. I believe in my government class, my teacher mentioned that only about between 40 and 50% of registered voters actually go out and vote. And that's just registered voters. Think of how many people aren't even registered.
Exactly. And you got to wonder with that, too, like, how many elections would have changed if people had actually thought, oh, yeah, I should vote today. That's
so many
civic duty.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah.
And they're the people in the school of thought that my vote doesn't count or anything.
Right.
Well, when you look at as thin a margin and as fragmented as the parties are right now, this is the perfect time to get involved because of that. Exactly.
Think about it, though. I mean, that argument, though, it's back and forth. There's two sides to it.
Yeah.
Yet at the same time, a lot of people do follow that mindset because of things like the Electoral College.
Okay.
And they say that our vote, the popular vote, is just a general suggestion for how the Electoral College should vote. Because think about it, the Bush and Gore
570 some votes changed the country,
Exactly.
And changed history, too.
Yeah, definitely. So if you look at it that way, people still have the mindset of, does my vote actually count? Should I still
I'm not saying it's not decently founded. I'm just saying what you're looking at right now is definitely a race where all of the votes do count because of how fractured and fragmented everything is.
Well, no, I've never been to a primary, but as I understand it, they are disorganized as heck. So you've got... all right, if you're for candidate 1, go stand by the lamp. If you're for candidate 2, go stand by the fern over there.
The caucus,
the caucuses.
The voting with your feet or whatever they call it.
80% for lamp, okay. Like,
nice.
That can't be the way we pick our next president. Like, it's just confusing.
Unfortunately, that's how it is. And it's sad to look at it, but it's been like that way for a while, and I don't think it's going to change anytime soon.
It's the way we do it,
It's the way we do it. But just looking at this election so far, and after the Iowa caucus, how do you think it's going to play out in the future? New Hampshire's coming up on
Tuesday,
I believe.
Ooh, jeez.
So
it's coming up here.
So what do you think is the future of this election year?
I honestly don't know. I feel like, I feel like what it'll come down to is, on the Republican side, you're going to probably find in the next primary or two, it whittling itself down to 3 main candidates. Who those 3 are, I'm going to say Trump is definitely up there. I'm going to say Cruz is probably up there. Rubio might be up there, and Bush may come from behind. But I don't know at this point. But those would be probably the 4 that come to my mind that end up sticking it out. As for New Hampshire itself, I'm going to say that the polls may be right in this case. And on the Republican side, you may have a Trump win. They may surprise us come Tuesday, but that would be my guess. On the Democratic side, I don't know.
Bernie has the lead, doesn't he?
Bernie has the lead, as far as the polls go. So if the polls are right, I'm going to say Bernie wins New Hampshire, but you never know, really.
Oh, yeah.
I'll just say it's not Martin O'Malley.
It's not Martin O'Malley.
Confirmed, yeah.
As far as I'm concerned, he's out of the race.
I'm curious.
He suspended his campaign.
Okay, suspended.
Okay, good.
No, he's out of the race completely.
Yeah, okay.
He announces it.
Yeah, it's the whole Trump thing is amazing. We started off last year and it's like, oh, Trump's running again. Ha ha ha.
For the 5th time.
And then a few months in, we're like, Trump's still running. Ha 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 ha. And the
laughter has just deadpanned.
And now it's like, he's
he's
still
running. Yeah.
Wow.
Let me stop laughing and actually listen to him, I guess.
And like I said, he embodies American rage.
He does.
If you're disaffected and angry.
Yeah, and again, we were talking last week. He gets the attention he wants, and he knows how to.
Right.
And for that, I have to give him props for going out there and doing him. Yet at the same time, he's not a politician, and some people may look at that as a good thing. some people may look at that as a bad thing.
Obviously, some people do look at it as a good thing, and some people...
Another thing, some people are misguided and miseducated about how politics actually works.
Yeah.
Well, you can't just hire a new Secretary of State.
And expect...
That's the big one I hear from Trump supporters. Just like, he'll just hire the people who know how to do their job.
One does not simply hire
government
officials. It doesn't work that way. And I guess people are just being misinformed. They're misguided. Right. And I think everyone needs to take the time, go online, look at good sources, not Reddit, not tweets. Look at, different news articles around the world and whatnot, and kind of test the waters before they really dive into the election this year.
There's a quote by Sir Winston Churchill, the best argument against democracy is a 5-minute conversation with one of its participants, which is good for American politics.
True,
Why do we let you people vote? Oh, right, because you're Americans.
Because you're Americans.
That's your right,
that's
but
your right.
Still.
People are misinformed about their votes. So.
And with that, we're going to take a quick break here. On the other side, we're going to have some music curated by Kris. It's 8:21. Music curated by Kris, and on the other side, and this is On the Horizon on WPPJ AM. Hey, this is Alex, and I'm joined by Kris and Sam for our show On the Horizon, where we bring you our thoughts on current events and news. Join us from 8 to 10 p.m. on Saturdays right here on WPPJ 670 AM.